Clark Kent, Superman, was dragged into the Ultramar Sector at the very height of the Hive fleet Leviathan's invasion. His arrival was the result of an extremely rare and unstable interdimensional event. While saving Earth from a threat involving exotic reality-bending technology, Clark was thrown through a warp rift that briefly and accidentally overlapped with his reality. He materialized in the stratosphere of the Forge World of Agrippina, one of the key Tyranid targets in the Ultramar Sector. His body, protected by the solar aura of his home star, passed through the warp without fatal consequence, though with overwhelming disorientation. He fell like a fiery comet, his unbreakable form punching through the clouds, landing several kilometers from the main defensive perimeter, creating a vast crater that the Imperial forces, preoccupied with their retreat, initially mistook for a massive meteor or ship debris. Superman's first contact with the Tyranids occurred in the outskirts of Agrippina, moments after he regained consciousness. He saw a squad of Katashan ratlings and two severely wounded Astra Militarum stormtroopers, surrounded by a swarm of hormagaunts and a massive armored Tyranid Hive guard. Witnessing the pure predatory malice and the sheer quantity of Xenos, Clark used his abilities for the first time. He launched himself into the fray with a speed that no human eye or Tyranid Hive mind could track. His first act was a super-speed impact. He didn't just strike the Hive guard, he shattered its organic armor with such kinetic force that the creature's spine snapped and it exploded in a spray of gore. As the hormagaunts attempted to leap upon him, he unleashed his heat vision, two searing crimson beams that instantly incinerated the swarm lines, turning organic matter into steam and ash before they could close the distance. The remaining Tyranids, deprived of synaptic control, fell into confusion. The ratlings and stormtroopers, stunned, saw not a mighty space marine, but an unarmored man moving like a god machine and emitting red light, a sight that immediately sowed terror and awe of a miracle or a heresy. A tense confrontation unfolded at the Ultramarines' temporary command post, housed within a fortified Agrippina cathedral bunker. Captain Titus, who always prioritized duty and saving lives over dogma, initially welcomed Superman's strength, whom he referred to only as the Stranger due to his enigmatic arrival. However, the situation drastically changed with the arrival of Inquisitor Radical Kaivas, who came personally to investigate the heretical source of this impossible power. Inquisitor Kaivas accused Clark of being a psycho-artifact or a heretic mutant whose power stemmed from the warp. Titus tried to defend him, pointing out that his actions had saved thousands of Imperial lives, and that he clearly was not tainted by chaos. Kaivas, angrily, "You are a creature of flesh and blood who flies, shoots fire from his eyes, and stops Goliath shells without blessed armor, without psychic activity, without Imperial technology. This is pure, unadulterated sorcery, Captain. Are you willing to risk the entire sector by allowing this entity to defile it with its presence?" Clark, calmly but firmly, "I am just trying to help. I see these creatures are a threat to life, and I am doing what I must to protect the innocent. Your methods demand that you first kill me, even if I am your only chance for victory. Where I come from, we call that recklessness. Here, it seems to be faith." Titus stepped between them. "His power is a mystery, Inquisitor, but his dedication to salvation is undeniable. We can debate his origins after we have won this war. Until then, he is our asset, and you will not touch him." The climax occurred during a massive Tyranid assault on Agrippina's main spiral citadel, which housed a vital synaptic node. The Hive fleet deployed enormous bio-titans, including a Hierophant and 3 Dominuses, to break the final defenses. Superman's presence entirely changed the outcome. Instead of the Imperial forces having to wage a desperate war of attrition, Clark became a tactical Wunderwaffe. He took on the role of the single-man threat. Using flight and superspeed, he attacked the Hierophant's head with unprecedented rapidity, concentrating his heat vision into a single point, boring through its chitinous skull and destroying the Hive mind node within. When a Tyranid warp pause threatened to paralyze the Imperial forces, Clark simply flew above the atmosphere, absorbed maximum yellow sun energy, and returned to use his super breath to create a hurricane that scattered and blew away nearby swarms of gargoyles and warrior Xenos, giving the Space Marines time to regroup. His decisive action was preventing the planetary reactor's self-destruction. As a swarm of termagants and a Tyranid progenitor broke through to the core, Clark descended to the reactor level, using his super strength to physically stabilize the critical mechanisms and block the explosive plasma flows, saving the planet from being consumed by fire. Thanks to his strength, the war in the sector did not descend into total exhaustion. The Tyranids, having lost their key synaptic ships and largest bio-titans in hours rather than weeks, lost their mind and organization, allowing the Imperial fleet to regroup and deal a decisive blow to the remaining Hive fleet elements. Agrippina was saved. Victory was achieved, but the conflict was not over. The planet was saved, but Clark could not stay. His presence too severely destabilized the dogmatic Imperium. Inquisitor Kaivas demanded his immediate confinement and study in the name of the Emperor. Captain Titus, who had seen both greatness and goodness in this stranger, allowed Clark to depart, providing a brief diversion for the Inquisition. Clark, realizing that his power would always incite more fear and dogmatic fanaticism than hope in this grim world, chose to leave. He bid farewell to Titus and flew into space, using his super hearing to search for any anomalies in the warp that might guide him back home. In the Ultramar Sector, the stranger with the red cape became a legend, a quiet tale of the Red Angel, a phenomenon that saved the Imperium but was forced to depart. This bolstered Titus's conviction that not all power not derived from the Emperor is heresy, which in turn intensified the Inquisition's suspicion against Titus himself, setting the stage for his future trials. Clark Kent left behind a world he didn't understand, but one he saved,